So let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
ICP persona, prioritizing and selecting. How do you kind of think about this piece as an account executive?
Yeah, and I think that this is where you can go a little bit too wide, and it's always important to go narrow first and then increase width as you increase your account capacity and or you don't have enough accounts that fit that criteria. So for example, if like I self-source, as well, right? I've been taking on, like some AE responsibilities, seeing how, the team is operating there, even with, a VP title. And I look for accounts, for example, that match our closed one, right? The ones that had the shortest sales cycle, the ones that closed at the highest ACV, like those are the initial ones. I'm like, all right, like find me 10 accounts that look like that. Maybe they're within 10 to 20% of the same employee range. They're in the same industries. They're leveraging the same technical stack data. Maybe they're same intent data. And I'm looking at that first. And when I first did that, I didn't find a ton of accounts. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is a gold mine. It was like 50 accounts, but
Yeah.
those were 50 really solid accounts, right? And breaking into those accounts had really high conversion to meeting, really high conversion to trial, really high conversion to of course close, but it wasn't a significant amount of accounts. So you start off with like 50, you start off with like 50 accounts, and you quickly narrow down to the 5 that could become close one. And then you expand from there. So, what that means is that after you've looked at those really hot accounts, you go to the next layer. For example, let's say they made it to a trial. Let's say your org does trials today. If they made it to a trial and you qualified them that they're okay to run forward with a trial, at that stage, they're pretty qualified, right? They've already moved past the initial qualification phase. They've already met with you, and SDR has already booked a meeting. So that might be a wider funnel. Now, they might not have moved forward with the trial at that time. They may have failed on the trial. Maybe they went through the trial, they didn't buy, right? There's a ton of reasons why, people might have dropped off halfway through, but that's another layer, right? That you would look at, and then you would apply the same sort of filter logic. So if you're not getting enough accounts, you might increase that filter logic. You might say, okay, I'm looking for companies that are anywhere between 500 to 1,000 employees. I'm only getting 70 accounts, but I need 170. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to look at accounts that are 200 employees upwards to 1,500, right? This is
Yeah.
just a simple example, but that's how you can play around with lookalike data and different criteria of what is qualified in order to build a better sourcing funnel of accounts.